What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Sermon number 4. I am your host, Elizabeth D'Alto, and today we're talking about why and how compassion is a really effective tool for change. And to remind you what these Sunday sermons are all about, these are shorter solo episodes than our usual Monday podcast interviews. They're about 10 to 20 minutes. I do oracle readings, share my favorite prayers, poems, and excerpts from what I'm reading. I'll explore creative and inspiring ideas, thoughts, and ruminations for you to be nourished and fed by going into your week. So they're super juicy. Think of these as wild and untamed gospel, heart ponderings, and delicious morsels of wisdom to spark your own truth, power, and love from my wild soul to yours. So to dive in today, I was super inspired this week. Here's why we're talking about compassion. I got to interview 3 absolute powerhouse women this week. Kelly Diels, who you can find at kellydiels.com, Sonya Renee Taylor, who you can find at thebodyisnotanapology.com, and L'Erin Alta, who you can find at l'erinalta.com. And we'll put links in the show notes to these, to all their sites. So they're all doing their own form of activism in the world, and they're all rocking it out with both fierceness and compassion. And this is why their work is super effective. So a big lesson that I learned in my own life over the course of this last year is the difference between compassion and tolerance. So if you're listening to this in real time, the episode that's going to go up Monday, tomorrow on September 4th is going to be either the full episode or part 1 of a 2-part series of 33 lessons in my 33rd year as my birthday is approaching here. And I'm about to turn 34. And this is one of my big lessons. And I'll talk about that. I'll riff on that a bit more during that episode. But, I spent almost 3 years in a relationship with a super narcissistic person. It was very emotionally abusive. I didn't realize it while I was in it. I didn't realize it till afterwards because I had my own codependent stuff going on and family history stuff to clear out, which that relationship helped me do. But while I was in it, I was often tolerating poor behavior and being told that I should be more compassionate and really conflating compassion and tolerance. And so what I'm realizing now through finding people whose work is so potent and who are really addressing really uncomfortable things, but really important things, white supremacy, racism, oppression in all of its forms, these structures and systems that exist globally, but especially here in the United States, that really, it's beyond urgent for these things to be dismantled. These people are leaning into these very uncomfortable things, and their work is effective because they're coming at it from a place of enormous compassion. A couple weeks ago, again, if you're listening in real time, in August of 2017, there was a white supremacy march in Charlottesville, Virginia. Lots of conversations were coming up afterwards. A lot of people who previously just weren't engaged in these conversations are now, because they're seeing that it's not just something to throw love and light at. It's really important things to consider and take responsibility for the roles that we all play and however we contribute in whatever way that we do by being part of a system that was built on white supremacy. So I share that because during that time, in the few days after, Brene Brown posted a video where she talked about how shaming people into action is really not effective. And so when we think about change, whether that's personal change, global change, helping people in our lives change as they transition through different experiences, if we are shaming or being shamed into taking that action, the action is not going to be sustainable. It might get some initial traction, but the effect will wear off eventually. And in the long run, it could actually do more harm than good. So in a lot of ways, compassion is the antidote for shame and guilt. And in a lot of ways, some of our behaviors that keep us where we are, whether that's on an individual level or on a collective level, are as a result of shame and guilt. So we can apply the compassion to the places where we feel shame and where we feel guilt And in our own lives, when we want to help or when we're trying to change ourselves or others, we can look at where we might be shaming and where we might be using guilt and flip it and call on compassion instead, because action that comes from a place of compassion is actually an invitation. A lot of people want to and can say yes to. Shame and guilt are things that a lot of people might initially respond to, but cannot sustain because it's not healthy. It's not good for us. So we hear people talking about, it's all about love. Love is the answer. We need more love. And love is super healing. Love is super important. But I think compassion is the most effective tool for change, because there is no love without compassion. And in my experience, at least, which, by the way, I don't need to be right about this. I'm open to people having different viewpoints here. We can get to compassion before we can get to love. Like, I can have compassion for someone before I can have love for them. I don't know if you can relate to that. But I have a lot of compassion for a lot of people that I don't love. I can send love. I can have love for people, but I don't actually love them. But I do have a ton of compassion for where they are. And we can demonstrate compassion without having to tolerate poor behavior, bad behavior, crappy messaging, bad leadership, and things like that. So before I pressed record on this sermon, I always like to bring something to these sermons. If it's an oracle reading, if it's a poem, if it's a passage from something I'm reading. So I asked my Mother Mary Oracle deck, which, by the way, y'all, personally, this is my favorite oracle deck. It's by Alana Fairchild. She actually makes all of my favorite oracle decks. I asked the Mother Mary Oracle deck what message we could all use about compassion this week. And the card I pulled is the Our Lady of Peaceful Change card. File that one under You Can't Make This Shit Up, right? This is why I love oracle cards. Always relevant. So I'm going to spend the rest of our time here reading you the message on this card and the ritual that goes with it, so you can follow along from wherever you are. And so the first part of the message here is written as if Mother Mary is speaking to you herself. And it says, "Change is coming to you now, my dear child. It is a change that has been triggered by the loving prayers held deep within your heart. This change does not have to be difficult for you. Trust in me, and I shall ensure that you are supported through this change, that you're held safely and securely in my heart as you transition from one way to another. I would like you to use your energy for more worthy purposes than unnecessary worry. Trust me a little more and know that the changes you're encountering now or soon will, are actually the blessing of my answer to your prayers. Our Lady of Peaceful Change comes to us when change is either happening now or is on its way to us soon as an answer to a prayer. Not all change has to be difficult. Change can evoke thoughts of upheaval, uncertainty, instability, and even fear. We all have different capacity to accept change with equanimity, depending on the circumstances and situations. Sometimes it might seem very frightening indeed. At other times, it might not be so frightening. It may even be considered exciting, even whilst there are moments of confusion or uncertainty. Our Mother, Mary, understands that sometimes change feels very challenging, and sometimes there is very good reason for that. Perhaps the sheer magnitude of the change requires a lot of emotional energy in order for us to be able to take the leap. In such situations, we might actually need a bit of push from life or a nudge from the Divine Mother to take the steps. Those nudges will come in the form of life circumstances that urge us to loosen our grip and let life happen more freely. Sometimes it will be a gentle lull in the waves of the great ocean of life, and we relax, let go, and flow. At other times, we need a great big wave to overcome us in order to let go and realize that it's actually safe to flow. The fear was only about the letting go. However, the Holy Mother also knows that there are plenty of times when we worry or fear through change, and it is not necessary for us to do so at all. Our Lady of Peaceful Change comes to you now to allay any concerns you have about a change that is taking place right now or will soon come to you. She tells you that everything is going to work out for the best, and that although there might be some adjustments to make, there is nothing to be concerned about. She's taking care of all the details, and you can relax and trust that if you need to attend to something, you will feel an inner nudge to do so. She's also letting you know that this change in circumstance or situation will actually feel much better for you. It will free you up from something that you weren't consciously aware was holding you back. She asks that you trust her, and trust that as you adjust to the change, you will realize that it is the answer to a prayer. The Oracle of Our Lady of Peaceful Change brings a general piece of guidance for those who have drawn this card, which is to trust a little more. Whether you relate to the experience of change in your life as happening now or believe that it needs to happen, she's asking you to pray to her and trust. All is happening in perfect timing. And whilst you can do all that is in your power when you can, don't believe that you have to force something to be. Change happens naturally as we grow. Trust it. Trust yourself, trust her. So here's the healing process and affirmation. Imagine that you're outside a sunlit room that is quiet and serene. You feel drawn to enter the room because it feels so lovely and peaceful. Become aware of the sound of gentle, relaxed breathing. You sense a mother lovingly holding a child. Both are completely peaceful, breathing easily in harmony with each other. This is a harmony that nothing can disturb. There is a chair in the room for you, and the mother smiles at you as you enter and sit in the chair. Close your eyes and sit comfortably in that chair. Let yourself be a part of that peace, sitting quietly in that room. Stay there for as long as feels good for you, and then finish by speaking aloud the following healing affirmation. Our Lady of Peaceful Change, Divine Mother Mary, who loves me without condition, is with me now. I accept her love, protection, and sublime grace with gratitude and trust. I open to divinely inspired change for the greatest good. So be it. So I just want to note that I have no expectation that Mother Mary resonates for everyone the way she resonates for me. But if you felt anything, if that brought you any kind of peace or solace, let it be less about Mother Mary and more about the Divine Mother in general, perhaps. Whatever is that energy, whatever the face of it, the texture of it, the energy of it is for you. There is a universal Divine Mother constantly and incessantly supporting us and holding us. So in your moments of challenge, in your moments of need, when you need compassion for yourself or other people, know that the Divine Mother is the ultimate expression of compassion. And that level of compassion is always, always, always within reach. We just need to reach for it more consistently, with more trust and with more faith, so that we can show up in this world in a way that is so, so, so needed. So thank you all so much for listening. This is episode number 188. So if you go to untameyourself.com/episode-188, you'll be able to get links. We'll put links to that Mother Mary Oracle. I'll put a picture to the card for those of you who want to see it. I'll also put links to those websites of the women I mentioned earlier on. And as well, we'll put a link to our new Wild Soul Toolkit, which is over a dozen practices, rituals, and meditations to help you navigate everyday life. Thank you all so, so much. I love doing these sermons and I love hearing from you. So be sure to find me on Facebook or Instagram to let me know how they're landing for you. And if it resonates, share it up with your friends. Thanks, y'all.